And joining me live now is New South Wales Shadow Police Minister Paul Toole. Happy New Year's, Paul, and thank you so much for joining us on Sky News. It's a time of so much celebration, but also tragedy, and we hear it every year that it is a really dangerous time on our waterways. And we've got this news this morning that a woman's body is washed up in Maroubra, and also those issues in Coogee and also the Northern Beaches as well.
Yeah, look, good morning, Julia, and happy New Year as well. And look, unfortunately, we have started the new year already. There have been a number of tragedies that have been reported already today, and I think it's probably a good reminder to people that if you're going to be out there on our waterways, to make sure that you are doing the right thing. Not drinking, making sure that you've actually got life vests for all those people that are involved. And this is a great time of the year where people are going to enjoy our waterways, our beaches, our dams, and really it's about doing what you can to keep yourself safe and to keep your family safe. And we know that we ended 2025, with a lot of tragedy that was felt right around this country and around this nation. And we know that there are still stories out there that are impacting on people, and a terrible start for many families today to hear of some of those tragic incidences that have already occurred.
It's also a really dangerous time on our roads, as we see a lot of people taking trips at this time. What's your message to motorists at the moment as we see that toll increase last year compared with the one before?
Yeah, look, that's right, Julia. So if you have a look at the road toll last year, we ended up with 352 fatalities on our roads across New South Wales. Now, that was up from 324 the same time last year. So we actually saw an additional 28 fatalities on our roads. And look, that's someone's, mum, dad, grandparent, sister, brother in those communities. And, really it has a lifelong and devastating impact in those areas. We need everyone to make sure that they are doing the right thing. This is the time of the year where people are going to be travelling away for holidays, catching up with family and friends. There's going to be congestion on our roads. So it's really important that people plan their trips and really ensure that they drive to the conditions that they are travelling on. Now, we know that speeding is the number one killer. So it's important that people realise that just because you've driven a road over 1,000 times doesn't make it okay to actually speed a little bit more on that particular road. People should not be drink or drug driving. People should be wearing a seatbelt. For goodness sake, put the mobile phone in the boot of the car if you can't. Not look at a text message when it comes through, because at the end of the day, it's about keeping yourself safe in a car, also other motorists on our roads, but most importantly, that precious cargo, which is children inside those vehicles as well.
What did you make of the New Year's Eve celebrations last night? It's always a stunning display here in Sydney. We're very lucky, but we've also seen a major police presence out there on the harbour in preparation.
Yeah, look, I think, people really turned up to Sydney Harbour foreshores, and, it was great to see people getting out and about and really bringing in the new year. I think when you have a look at the end of 2025, we've all been, saddened with the tragedy that happened there at Bondi, but I think it's really important that as a community and as a society, we continue to show that we are resilient, we are strong, and we're going to continue to support one another. This was about a showing of the community being there for one another during what has been a very difficult time as well. There's no doubt that we had a very huge police presence. We had around 3,000 police here in New South Wales that were deployed around Sydney and various foreshores in that particular area. But this is about making sure that our community is safe. We know that the riot squad was also deployed in the evening. We know that our police officers are carrying long arms as well. So, times have changed, but it's about, at the end of the day, making sure that our community is safe and people can go out and enjoy themselves. And look, Sydney certainly turned it on, as did, many other parts of New South Wales. There was plenty of locations in regional New South Wales, in metropolitan areas, where people came together to celebrate what is really the start of hopefully a successful and a big year for everyone involved.
We saw that tribute last night in the fireworks display to the victims of the Bondi tragedy. I want to take you just to this issue that continues to present itself for the Prime Minister, these calls for a royal commission into what happened. More than 100 top silks have put their name to these calls, former defence chiefs and, of course, families of some of these victims. Is it time for Premier Chris Minns to start pressuring the Prime Minister?
Absolutely. I mean, the people of Australia are calling for a royal commission, and this can't be any buck passing from premiers or other states to say that this is a Commonwealth issue. This is an issue that happened right here in the very own backyard of New South Wales. And the Premier, Chris Minns, should be demanding that Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister of Australia, calls for a royal commission into this terrorist attack that we saw here in this country. Now, this was the worst terrorist attack that we've seen on Australian soil ever. So to not hold a royal commission is not actually getting the answers that so many families and individuals need, but it's also about making sure that we prepare and make sure that we're better off into the future. And my biggest concern is the issue around, how does someone that's on a watch list even get a firearm? How does someone on a watch list even go overseas and not be noticed at all? So there are many questions that need to be answered here. And look, the Jewish community have made it very clear too, Julia, that they're going to start, boycotting events from New South Wales and federal Labor MPs, because at the end of the day, they are there. They can hold a royal commission. And at the moment, you've got the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, who's digging his head in the sand and basically saying we're not going to have one. And simply the calls are just going to continue to grow louder and stronger until we actually have one.
What's your take on the Richardson review that's been promised by the Prime Minister?
Well, I think the Richardson review is only going to be looking at things around the edges. And, this is just about trying to look at, a political smokescreen at the end of the day. A royal commission will actually get down to some of those hard questions as to how we've actually seen extremism and radicalisation grow here in this country. And, we know there has been a lack of actions, but it shouldn't be about finger pointing or blaming any government. It's about making sure that we can work in bipartisan at the end of the day to make sure that we do things and ensure things are better for the future, because there's one ultimate issue here. It's about keeping our community safe. And Australia has changed since that terrorist attack. People are on high alert. People are very anxious. People are nervous. The Jewish community have been feeling this now for over the past 2.5 years. And there's been a lack of action that's been undertaken by the federal government and the state Labor government when it comes to addressing this issue. So we really need to ensure that it's more than just the review, because a royal commission allows greater powers and greater investigations to occur as to what happened at Bondi.
And just on the gun reform that was implemented in New South Wales, that new legislation, but also federally with that buyback scheme, what do you make of the changes? How are people in your community reacting?
Well, Julia, people are really angry because they still are shaking their heads as to why the government introduced these gun law reforms. Now, these were rushed through the Parliament of New South Wales. These gun law reforms, they actually attacked law-abiding citizens. There was no consultation with New South Wales farmers or country mayors or sporting shooting organisations. And then when you go and ask the police minister as to how this is going to work, she can't tell us. She can't tell us how we're going to see additional resources being used at the firearms registry. We can't be told as to how much is going to be involved in a buyback scheme here in this country. So at the moment, it's all about trust me. And unfortunately, trust me, and at the end of the day, doesn't really cut it for those people that have been doing the right thing. People are angry. I've said it before that people aren't going to let this go. As an opposition and certainly as a member of the National Party, there is a petition that will be coming to the Parliament this year. That's going to see over 10,000 signatures. That's going to be debated on the floor of the New South Wales Parliament, and certainly we'll be looking at those regulations. But all detail at the moment is completely missing. It's a knee-jerk reaction. It's something that was only there to get a political headline, and it actually, at the end of the day, Julia, it just attacks those law-abiding citizens.
Well, Paul, we'll make sure we follow those updates in New South Wales Parliament. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.